Good afternoon, Titans. At this time, you should have completed your lockdown drill and be in a lockout drill. These specific procedures will be covered during this lesson today in your Titan Time classes. But I want to take this opportunity to remind you of some of our safety procedures here at Lewis Central. First of all, the procedures of lockdown, lockout, and our other safety procedures follow those associated with the standard response protocol. In a little bit, you'll be watching a video that kind of gives you some background about standard response protocol. And in addition to that, we have an article on our webpage that gives additional information if you'd like to check that out. One of the key things and why we use standard response protocol, it's a common language used by all first responders, law enforcement, and other agencies that would respond to the school or any activity in the event we had an emergency. Most of the situations that we would likely encounter would be a controlled situation. In such a situation, we would have time to make an announcement. As you've just experienced, those announcements include the directions and commands that are associated with whether it be a lockdown, lockout, or any other type procedure. So one of the first steps in any safety situation is to remain calm, listen, and pay attention to the commands. Those are all pretty straightforward. Those are the ones that we practice, such as fire drills, lockout, lockdown. The ones that are a little more alarming and ones that have been in the news and the tragedies associated with other school violence, such as Florida, are those unannounced situations, situations in which we're unsure of what is happening in the school. We cannot plan for every one of those situations, but you need to know that in any emergency situation, we would leverage the procedures that we have practiced from our standard response protocol. In addition, giving you and the teachers the option to always run, hide, or fight. Hide is pretty self-explanatory. Those are lockdown, lockout type procedures, and in most situations, there might not be an immediate announcement, but there will likely be one following shortly after you've responded to whatever the concern might be. Run is just that. It's leave the area in which there is a safety concern. Run, leave the area, get to a safe spot, and then in the event that law enforcement are here and have the situation under control, it would be at that time you would attend the rally point. For us, that's the lead center over at ISD, and your Titan Time teacher will go over that. Lastly, in a situation, which we hope would never happen, any of these, would be a fight situation in which you were confronted by someone wishing to do the school or people in the school harm. In those situations, you have the right to protect yourself, thinking about things to distract the person, throwing things at them, and things of those natures. In an emergency situation or any of these scenarios, there are so many what-ifs. But the keys are to stay calm, leverage the training you've had, and listen to those individuals in command and in control. And in most situations, that will be an adult such as a teacher. Remember, in the event there is such an emergency situation, law enforcement would be here immediately. In the event you would encounter law enforcement, some of the key things to keep in mind would be to make sure your cell phones are put away and your hands are in the air when you interact with law enforcement. Their primary goal is to secure the environment and to make sure that those they encounter are not anyone they need to be worried with in terms of safety issues. Everything that I've just mentioned in terms of review and standard response protocol, for the most part, will be covered in the short video you'll be watching. Some of the other reminders that we've talked about are also contained in the article that's on our school webpage. I would encourage you to look at that article for additional information. Before I go, I'd also like to remind you of a couple other things related to school safety in any safety situation. The first starts with see something, say something. Too often in the situations involving school violence, people knew of information ahead of time, whether it be about the possibility of school violence occurring or the possibility of someone being mistreated. We all need everyone working together to help support safety within our schools. And lastly, and probably more importantly, all of it starts with how we interact and treat each other. I know you've heard oftentimes about respect, responsibility, and initiative, but it really begins with that. School safety and school climate doesn't start with procedures or drills. It starts with the everyday interaction that we have with our peers and our classmates, making sure that we treat everyone with the respect they deserve. We have the responsibility and take the initiative. If there is something that we see or hear, that we say something and respond appropriately. Thank you in advance, Titans, for reflecting upon your efforts to keep our schools safe. And please enjoy the following information. And if you have questions, please refer them to your Titan Time teacher. Thanks, Titans.